of the season for the Murray State Racers at Roy Stewart Stadium, and they welcome in the high-flying 13th ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks in the third all-time meeting between the two clubs and the second meeting between these two in the Bluegrass State. So glad you're with us wherever you're tuning in, high above the gridiron here in Murray. Casey Roll with former Racers tight end Drayton Charleston Parent on hand. Murray State has had some troubles limiting high-powered offenses this year. These two teams met a year ago, combined to score 100 points. What's going to be the big key to limiting the offensive output for the Racers today?
Well, I just think it's going to be a struggle for starters for the Racers. You're missing your starting quarterback in Jim Ogle with an MCL injury. So, you got to see what Baxter Wright's going to do tonight. He's been pretty good so far, 24 of 28 on the season. But, again, it's all about how do you bounce back when you're missing the leader on your team.
Let's take a look at our starting quarterbacks for tonight. You talk about the starter for Murray State today, Baxter Wright, in for the incumbent Jim Ogle. And what's Baxter got to do to be able to put up some numbers against the UND front seven?
So anytime it comes to an inexperienced quarterback or a guy who's really trying to get his feet out under him, you just have to start with some checkdowns, build the confidence, right? Build that connection with your receivers and that chemistry, and just work from there. Don't try to get too deep too quickly. Just start off with those nice, easy dump-offs to build that confidence.
Jerry Kaminsky has had nothing but confidence since taking over the starting quarterback job for the Hawks this season. How has his season been able to progress to where it's been this year?
I mean, he's just been phenomenal. 22 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions, and he's only taken 8 sacks, and I think that's a big part of it. His offensive line has been giving him a lot of time in the pocket, and you think about the teams that they've played. You're looking at Kansas State, only lost by 3 points last week, only lost by 5 to North Dakota State, and so to only take 8 sacks on the season when you're playing these really good teams week in, week out, I just think that's so impressive. And now you're going up against Murray State. I think he's going to have all the time in the world, and I think he has an opportunity to make a lot of big plays tonight.
Some keys for Murray State today. Obviously going to be controlling the football near the bottom of the MVFC in time of possession. How are they going to maintain the clock to be able to control possession?
Well, obviously we were talking with head coach Jody Wright before the game, and he was saying that he's going to have his team kind of hold the ball a little bit, take their time before they snap the ball, really try to find a nice pace. They're not going to try to rush anything, and I think that's a really smart move. Last week when North Dakota was playing North Dakota State, they had a way higher time of possession, but they ended up still losing that game. And so I think the Racers are really just going to try and take their time, pace it out, and kind of get things going slowly.
How about for North Dakota?
Yeah, North Dakota, I just think, step on the gas early. You're coming off a loss to, your rival in-state team, and I think they just have a lot to prove tonight. Again, we were looking at that spread, 33.5, and I just think they want to come out here and make a statement.
Murray State on senior night begins with possession. Kenton Loffman sends it down, and that's into the end zone for a touchback. No chance for Blaze Thomas on the return. And we get an opportunity to take a look at the aforementioned Baxter Wright for the first time, earning his first start of the season.
Yeah, and like I said, starting off here, they're probably going to hand off the ball on first down, second down. But then I think once we get to third down, you're going to start to see him air it out a little bit. We're going to see some check downs and everything like that. But I don't imagine he's going to throw it deep right off the rip here.
Jim Ogle battling a MCL injury, out for the season. Has been the starter for Murray State up until every game until last week. Jawan Northington gets the first carry of the night, gains a couple on the ground. It's senior day here in Murray. Northington was one of 8 seniors being honored before the game today.
Yeah, Northington's a guy, he's given this program everything. He had opportunities to transfer, to leave, to go to bigger programs. He decided to stay, and he has just been an absolute staple in this Murray State offense.
4 carries for 6 yards last year against the Hawks in Grand Forks. J.K. Carter outside, gets past the sticks.
Yeah, get J.K. Carter going early, one of the main weapons for Murray State. And again, just when you get a receiver going early, that just builds that confidence, gets them excited, brings the energy up, and that's the guy you want to get going.
The graduate student, only receiver back for the Racers that played in the game against the Fighting Hawks last year. Back through the air, Wright's pass complete, but a big Big grab by Grant Nolan, making his presence known with Carter making the catch.
And right back to Carter, again, just getting him going, and that's a nice throw for Baxter Wright. Again, these little check downs. Now, he's got a completion under his belt. He can start to feel good, and as this game progresses, or even as this drive progresses, start going a little deeper.
Right. This is something he can do, make some things happen on the ground. Bounces outside, past midfield, and into the second layer of the North Dakota defense. Wright moves the sticks.
Yeah, what a run from Wright. He's going to make a couple of moves, a couple of guys miss, get the edge, and shows off the speed. And how about that? Gets the first down, and he's making sure that the Fighting Hawks know it.
Had one carry against UNI last week in Cedar Falls. Picked up 2 yards against the Panthers' front seven. Pressure coming. Wright is dropped. Johnny Wiltshire's 3rd sack of the season, and number 3 makes his presence known.
And this has been a problem for the Murray State offense all year. Jim Ogle, he took 12 sacks before he got that MCL injury, and now with Baxter Wright in the mix, you don't want him to be taking the same kind of sacks that Ogle was taking, and so you have to give him some time in the pocket.
Loss of 8 yards. North Dakota leads the MVFC in sacks, number 7 in the country in sacks. Right. Back on the ground. Past midfield, gets a good amount of those 8 yards lost back to the 48.
And how about that pump fake? I mean, he got everybody falling for that one. That was like a nice little basketball move, faking the 3-point shot, and he's just going, made a smart decision to get out of bounds, don't take an injury, and, you live to see another down.
He's a Georgia kid, looked a little like Michael Penix or Mike Vick back in the day with those pump fakes in the backfield that turned into a few yards in the ground.
All right, hold your horses.
Northington trips, gains a couple through the air, but after that sack, North Dakota's defense comes up big to bring up 4th down. On this side of the field, the Racers' offense a little slow coming to the sidelines, but it does look like Jody Wright is bringing out the punt team.
And, that is not a bad drive for the Racers. You got a first down. You had a couple of nice plays there. Again, it's all about just building some momentum, building some confidence. You're playing against a team that is one of the top teams in the conference that played super tight with North Dakota State, played super close with Kansas State. So you can be proud of that drive.
Tom O'Hara's first punt of the day. And Caden Dennis signals for a fair catch inside the 10.
And now we're going to get to see what North Dakota can do. The Fighting Hawks going to have an opportunity on offense here. Again, they have a very explosive offense. They love to throw the ball. They can also run as well. It'll be interesting to see what they go to.
A high-flying North Dakota offense under first-year head coach Eric Smits. 35 points per game, second best in the MVFC, only behind the top-ranked North Dakota State Bison. Kaminsky, first handoff of the game, the Sawyer Seidel. 100 yards on the ground in 4 of his last 5 games, stacked up for a minimal gain.
Now remember, back when North Dakota played Montana earlier in the season, we saw an 84-yard touchdown pass from Kaminsky to B.J. Fleming. So even though North Dakota's stuck on their 10-yard line, they're still in a good spot for them. They're used to this.
That is one thing Coach Schmidt did mention this year, the availability of the big play downfield. Seidel back on the ground is ushered toward the boundary, gains a couple, and that puts North Dakota in 3rd and long territory inside the 15.
3rd and long territory, the Racer defense doing exactly what they need to do. If they can force a 3 and out on North Dakota's first drive, get the ball back, and they'll probably have some pretty good field position. You call a fair catch at the 40, and then you get things going. Again, this is the kind of momentum that you want to build if you're Murray State here.
Big test for the Racers, last in the league in 3rd down defense. Kaminsky to the air for the first time. Out wide, tough coverage with Marion Pons all over Fleming. It is enough for a first down.
And that's why B.J. Fleming is the #1 receiver for the Fighting Hawks. He came into this game with 37 receptions, and right there just you know, he was a reliable guy. Kaminsky knew that he was going to be there. He was covered all over and made the grab. A very sure-handed receiver.
He's 5 yards away from passing 600 for the season. Kaminsky with 5 pressuring. Downfield. It's Holden. Fleming again calls his own number. And there's that big play potential from the Hawks.
Yeah, we knew that was coming. And that catch from Fleming, the late hands, that's what's so impressive. Here, let's take a look at this replay. It's the late hands from Fleming that you love to see. That DB had no idea he was making that catch, and it looked like he was falling over as he was making the grab. Great concentration, great hands, and a fantastic throw from Kaminsky.
That goes for 38 yards. Fighting Hawks in the Murray State side of the field for the first time. Threatening on their opening drive. Kaminsky tucks and runs. That's been another part of his game that's developed this year. The legs being able to churn out some numbers.
Yeah, you know, I don't think he gets enough credit for his ability to run the ball. Obviously, we see all those big plays he can make with his arm, but he's a guy who can definitely do it with his legs as well.
Red Hemphill was there to make the stop after a gain of 6. Kaminsky back to the ground, powers ahead, gains a couple to bring up 3rd in the yard.
Yeah, and again, just a nice simple play right there. Bring it to 3rd and short and keep this drive going. I think right here you're probably going to see run up the middle. They got a tight end on the left side in the wing. They're running 12P. They got a double wing set here.
And that is something that Coach Schmidt did talk about when this offense is running consistently, that 2 tight end set, heavy ground and pound game. Speaking of pounding, there's Seidel pounding ahead for a gain of 4 to move the chains.
And all of the Dakotas, I think, in this conference are really good at that. They do a great job of utilizing their tight ends, and I've noticed that. Whether it's North Dakota, South Dakota, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, they all do a great job of utilizing those tight ends, not only in the pass game but in the run game, and as you saw right there, it made for a nice first down.
Seidel makes a move up the middle and a pickup of 7.
Yeah, Seidel, he's a guy who came into this game with over 120 carries on the season. Very impressive running back.
MVFC all-newcomer team a year ago as a freshman. Came into today just over 700 yards on the ground, approaching that 1,000-yard rushing season that UND has been searching for the last couple years. Seidel makes a move into the secondary, and he's dragged down at the 15.
And now North Dakota doing a fantastic job on this drive, you know, doing what they need to do. I think it's easy to forget this drive started inside the 10 for North Dakota, and now here we are on the 15, and they've just been slowly but surely going. They had that big pass to Fleming for 32 yards, but after that, they've just been steadily getting those first downs, and now they're in a very good scoring position here.
This drive started at the North Dakota 9. It's now at the Murray State 15. Kaminsky. Down the middle, touchdown! Fleming makes the grab. 5th time that Kaminsky and Fleming have linked up.
Yeah, who else but Fleming? We knew that was coming. Let's take a look at this replay here.
Kaminsky.
It almost looked like 2 receivers had a shot at it.
Touchdown.
Fleming again with the
Fleming
concentration. That's the biggest thing I've noticed about him, and we've seen it a couple of times so far in this game. His concentration on the ball. It doesn't matter what's going on in front of him. He locks his eyes on that target and can make that grab.
Drive that lasted just over 3.5 minutes. Extra point attempt is true. North Dakota has had a bit of a rotating door with their place kickers this season. That was Kenton Luffman who knocked it through. North Dakota makes its presence felt. They're up early here in Murray. Coverage of college football in one place, the brand new ESPN app. Unlock the ESPN Unlimited app or log in with your TV provider. First drive of the game for North Dakota with success. 10 plays, 92 yards, 5.5 minutes, capped off by that 15-yard touchdown pass from Jerry Kaminsky to B.J. Fleming. Homecoming day here at Roy Stewart Stadium. Murray State seeking its first win of the year, their first ranked win since March of 2021. North Dakota, lots on the line for the Fighting Hawks with their eyes set at the FCS postseason.
Murray State also looking for their first win in general since early on last year in 2024.
Kenton Luffman to send it down. Pounded it to the end zone his first time. This will be a return for Thomas. From the 1-yard line, sheds a tackle and surges just inside the 30 to the 27. That's where Murray State's second drive of the day will begin.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot of this with Murray State today, you know, especially they've been having a tough season. They haven't won a game yet so far, and now you're starting to see there's some guys who maybe are going to get some opportunities that haven't had too much experience before, and you're going to see that excitement. I mean, that was a great return. You know, you're getting past the 25-yard line. You can kind of see the excitement not only on the field but also on the bench as well.
Speaking of opportunity, Baxter Wright's first opportunity as a starter this year. Starts his second drive going to Darius Cannon, Murray State's top receiver of the year, number 3, picks up 3 on his first grab of the day.
Yeah, and Baxter needs to rely on both Cannon and Carter, right? You know, you're coming in, you don't have too much experience, but you got those 2 weapons. You also got Desjardins as well, who's also proven that he's a very good receiver. Rely on your guys, especially, you know, they're sure-handed. They can get open on those short routes, so I think that's a great game plan for Baxter right here.
Right back to the air. There's Cannon on the swing pass. Cannon crunch shy of 30. Johnny Wiltshire, who had a sack on that first Murray State drive, was there in pursuit.
And now we've seen a couple of those short passes. I think right here on 3rd down, this is where you kind of let Baxter take a shot.
There is a timeout. Avery Scott needs some tending to. We'll be back in a few moments. A big 3rd down on the line for the Racers.
Ladies and gentlemen. Big Apple Bar and Grill. Good food, good friends, great time.
What will tomorrow look like? Will it be what you expected, or something you could have never predicted? Will it be frightening or exciting? Is it the reason you can't sleep at night, or the reason you get up in the morning? Tomorrow will be all of these things. With Hub, you have a partner today who supports you in writing a more resilient, vibrant, and profitable tomorrow, protecting what matters most to you, and we want you to be ready for it.
We are learning how to save lives while making lifelong friends. We are changing the world from the ground up, and we are receiving a nationally recognized best value for our education. We are unleashing our creativity, and we are making our families proud.
How are we able to do all these things?
Simple, because we are racers.
We are racers!
Is there a racer inside you? Let's find out. Visit murraystate.edu/bearacer.
This has been something that's really hampered North Dakota this year, especially in the secondary. A cart out there, the 10 to Avery Scott. Already down Anthony Blue at one of their top coverage corners for the remainder of the year with a lower body injury. Definitely right back to the air. There's Cannon with the card coming out, knowing it's a little bit more serious.
Yeah, we can take a replay here of that play that may have caused that injury.
Right back to the air. On the swing pass.
Yeah, it looks like he just kind of got mixed up in that. May have just landed kind of funny.
Johnny Wiltshire, who had a sack on that first Murray State drive, was there against the third best third down defense in the country.
And now we've seen a couple of those short passes. I think right here on third down, this is where you kind of let Baxter take a shot. And that was almost a massive play, a nice slant route from Desjardins. Used those hands, caught the ball in stride, and there was nothing but green grass in front of him, so that was good on the Fighting Hawks to make sure they got a couple of hands on him to bring him down. And now, I mean, look at this. If he broke those passes, I think right here on third down, this is where you kind of like needs to do here.
Bennett Walker may have saved 6 points. Right. Back to the ground. He had 2 runs on that first drive. Surges ahead for a gain of 4 before being stacked up by a couple Fighting Hawks. Lance Rucker was among the first ones there.
Right, showing early on he is not afraid to run. He's going to continue to do that. Now, you got to wonder, especially when your starting quarterback's already down and out for the season, does that maybe, you know, make you a little bit tentative about your quarterback looking to get in the mix and get that contact on so many different plays? But, you know, again, Baxter Wright, he's shown that he can do this and he's talented. He just needs to be careful.
Not a lot of tentativeness on Wright's part so far. Jordan Washington's first carry cuts outside. Jai Martin was there to make first contact for a minimal gain to bring up third and medium.
And this is going to be a huge play for the Racers. You really got to get this first down, get things going. That would be so big to have a first down in opposing territory. You know, that's how you build that momentum. So this is a very crucial play here.
This is where Murray State's first drive ended, just past midfield to begin the game. Right, over the middle, there's Cannon finding a blank space in the secondary to move the chains.
And they are loving those slants. Cannon, just a nice slant, and he was ready for the ball right away. Was able to make a little bit of a move at the end there, making sure that he could extend and get that first down. Again, that was such an important play. We're nearing the end of the first quarter, but you know, now your drive resets, first down in opposing territory. Now for the Racers, build on that. Keep stacking plays.
Cannon had 4 catches all of last week against UNI. That's his 3rd catch of the quarter. Right, floats it out wide, and Washington able to reel that in. That looked like it was going to airmail him for a bit there.
Yeah, but he stuck out that one hand, Washington, with the sticky gloves. And that right there, you keep making catches like that, the rest are going to have to take a look at your fingertips.
Floats it out wide, the old school stick Washington, one of our good pals in the Murray State Sports Information Department, Dave Winder would call it. Cannon had 4 catches all of last week against UNI. That's his 3rd catch of the quarter. I never played with those, but floats it out wide. And
I love hearing the old heads talk about Odell Beckham Jr. in his glory days. They say he would never have been able to do that back in, you know, the 60s and the 70s.
Washington on the ground. He's been Murray State's featured back in the pass game, but on the ground just gets enough. They needed 4 to pick up the first down. He got exactly 4.
And again, now this is a momentous drive for the Racers. You're inside the 40, another first down here. And as you can see, the team's starting to get some confidence. Washington feeling confident. Baxter Wright with some confidence as well.
3rd first down of this drive. Right. Quick screen, Desjardins' second catch of the drive. Gains 4.
I really like that play call. You're going to have the tight end get in motion, make sure that he can block the corner. You're going to have Desjardins come around, try to get inside that block, and they got a few yards there. Well-designed play. And, again, when you have an inexperienced quarterback just trying to get some completions, that's exactly what you want to draw up. You're building confidence in him, building chemistry with the receivers, and that was a nice block from Reese Wilder there on the edge.
Your former tight end, how hard is it to seal off that block and that quick receiver screen with the corner coming down?
It depends. If that corner's ready for you and he's athletic, he's going to try and do everything in his power to juke you and make you look silly. But, again, that was a nice block from the tight end there.
Right, another quick out. There's J.K. Carter, who's dragged down in open field. That's Grant Nolan's second tackle of the quarter.
Now, I will tell you, though, there is one caveat to that. As a tight end, if that corner isn't ready for you, you're chomping at the bit because that's a highlight play waiting to happen. In fact, I had a play like that against North Dakota State. I lowered my shoulder on one of the corners, and it was awesome. So as a tight end, you're always looking for that.
Big third down coming up for the Racers. They've aced the test so far against the staunch third down D. Second comes your way next on ESPN.
Possession.
NDSU to 2 third down conversions all of last week. Murray State had 2 conversions on third down in that first quarter.
2 of 3 so far in this game. A chance to be 3 of 4 here. Another huge first down opportunity.
Wright with pressure coming. Being pursued. Wright is dropped. May have been the last thing that Jody Wright would have wanted. That pushes the envelope on a possible field goal attempt.
Yeah, I think when you have 3 receivers on the left side of the field, I think you got to roll out the other way. I don't know if he was feeling the pressure behind him, but again, it's hard for your receivers to all have to try and get over. You're going to have to make a crossbody throw in that scenario.
There was a late flag. It was a holding call on Bennett Walker. So it is a first down for North Dakota. First time we get to hear from the referee, Tyler Downs, today.
And this is a huge opportunity for the Racers, and they need to cash in here. North Dakota, as we've said, is a fantastic team.
Right side over the head of Desjardins, who was blanketed by Noland in coverage.
Now, that was a really good throw, and I like that from Baxter Wright. So now you're going to start to see him open it up a little more, air out the ball. He threw it in a spot where only his receiver could get it.
It's pretty natural, Drayton, in an 0 for 10 season. There are going to be some struggles. This has been a big spot where Murray State has had struggles converting in the red zone. Second lowest red zone efficiency in the league.
Yeah, you have to cash in when you get this close to the end zone.
Northington sheds the first wave of defense. Bounces outside for a gain of 7. His first carry of the second quarter was the main bell cow in the first with 4 carries, 20 yards.
And you got to love that fight from Northington. We've also seen it from Wright as well. Many times so far early on in this game, it's taken at least more than one tackler to bring these guys down, and that's showing that fight. You're 0-10. You're playing against the top school. I think it's really easy to be a silent quitter, but I have not seen that from the Racers so far this season. They continue to fight.
3rd and 4. Wright is pursued and dropped. North Dakota up to the task. It's a loss of 4.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this replay. And as we mentioned earlier, North Dakota, one of the best teams at putting pressure on the quarterback. Murray State has been struggling, keeping pressure off their quarterback. And as you saw right there, that's just a recipe for disaster, especially when you're this close to the end zone. And once again, just unable to cash in. However, they might walk away with 3 points here, and that's not nothing.
Grant Tyluki was there to make the tackle. The field goal attempt is true for Jack Tannehill. Converts from 32 yards, and the Racers are on the board. 14 plays, capped with 3. Back in a moment from Roy Stewart Stadium.
Best traditions set a standard, a belief fueled by grit, revolutionary smarts, and a clear vision for winning. Because a strong tradition makes fans of us all. Get 0% financing plus 0 down payment plus 0 payments for 90 days plus a complimentary maintenance plan on F-150. Only at your local Ford dealer.
What you'll find in Murray can't be packaged or placed on a shelf. It's a spirit, a feeling that stays with you long after you leave. It's the charm of a small southern town, where smiles come easy and hearts are wide open. This isn't a place of cookie-cutter shops or average eats. This is where soulful food meets real conversation, where every visit feels a little like coming home. Come embrace Murray, where what matters most can't be bought, only felt.
Since 1994, the Carver family has owned and operated Sirloin Stockade. From the moment our doors opened, Murray extended their hand, and the Sirloin Stockade family grew into a community. Our staff and our customers have become an extension of the Carver family, and Sirloin Stockade wants to thank you for your never-ending support. We will continue our mission to serve you and always be a tasty part of Murray life. Sirloin Stockade, serving your family for 30 years.
14-play drive for Murray State spanning over 7 minutes. Took up nearly half of the second quarter, results in 3 points from Jack Tannehill to get the Racers on the board against the 13th-ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks. Casey Roll, former Racers tight end Drayton Charlton Perrin with you. Senior day here at Roy Stewart Stadium.
Now, North Dakota, they've been struggling a little bit to score. I mean, last week only 10 points against North Dakota State. Obviously, North Dakota State a fantastic team. But now we're only seeing 7 points in the first quarter. Murray State doing a good job hanging in there. So I think this is a huge drive for North Dakota. You know, can you get back in the end zone? Can you get back scoring again? As we mentioned at the start of this game, the spread 33.5. But I don't think North Dakota right now is playing their best offense. Maybe we'll start to see that here, but I definitely think their coach is on the sidelines telling them that they got to get it together and they got to get rolling here.
Ball comes off the tee just as it did earlier for North Dakota's Kenton Loffman, so Trace Corum being tasked with being the holder on the kickoff. Sawyer Seidel and Christian Hoskins are back deep for North Dakota. Will they get a chance to return their first kickoff attempt of the day? It goes into the end zone for a touchback.
Honestly, I love it when a team's got a holder out there for a kickoff. It's just classic football. Just reminds you of those good old hard-nosed days of the pigskin, man. You just got to love it.
Did you ever get asked to hold on those type of days where it was super windy?
No. In fact, I was one of the guys who was just absolutely sprinting like a chicken with his head cut off trying to hit somebody. That's what you call the CTESPN right there.
I would assume in college that wasn't looked too happy at since you were an offensive player in college.
Correct.
Kaminsky takes the low snap. Sawyer Seidel surges ahead for a gain of a couple.
Yeah, Seidel got to get going here. But, again, North Dakota, they've done a nice job in the pass game so far. They've been getting B.J. Fleming going, who had that first touchdown. So I think they're going to try and continue that in the pass game. It's been working well, and at the end of the day, you always got to go to what's working. And right now, Fleming's the hot hand.
All three of Kaminsky's pass attempts have gone to Fleming out wide. Kaminsky's back to the air. Pressure coming down the middle. It is picked off. Marion Pons, his third pick of the season, sets up the Racers at midfield.
And that was just an easy interception from Pons. Ball came his way, and he just said, let me take that. Racers now back on offense with some momentum. You got to wonder, what was Kaminsky seeing there? Why did he throw that ball? There was a double coverage pass. We'll take a look at this right here. He threw it into double coverage. It looked like he was facing that pressure, got hit after the throw. That probably had a little bit of an effect on that, but I think he's definitely going to the sidelines right now, and he's probably punching himself for making that throw.
Kaminsky had a rough week last weekend in Grand Forks against NDSU at season-high 3 picks. First play of the drive, Washington is swarmed right at the line of scrimmage. It was Zach Lewis there from the safety position to make the stop.
Yeah, and again, I just want to talk about Murray State's secondary. You know, Pons right there with an interception. But the secondary has been playing pretty good all season. Obviously, you look at a guy like Rousey as well, who leads the team in tackles. You know, their secondary has been playing pretty good, and especially they've been showing up when they're playing the better teams. And right now, the Racers really hanging in there with the Fighting Hawks.
Right. Washington back on the ground, pursued from behind and taken down after a gain of a couple. Caden Vig there. There is a flag that goes flying. Jody Wright is noticeably adamant that that was a defensive penalty. We'll get the call from Tyler Downs in a moment.
Yeah, Jody Wright has never been afraid to tell the officials what he thinks. And that's what every head coach needs to do. Advocate for your guys, advocate for your team.
After the play was over, personal foul. Defense, number 88, 15 yards out of the end of the run. Automatic, first down.
That's a personal foul on Emmanuel Olagbaju, the first-year Fighting Hawk by way of St. Thomas.
But now the question is, this is very similar to Murray's last drive. Can you cash in? They've been struggling with this all season. They settled for a field goal on their last possession, but I think now you really have to get in the end zone here. And if you take this lead, you know, you're putting the Fighting Hawks in a bit of a bind here as we're starting to get closer to halftime.
Second Fighting Hawk penalty of the half. Cannon on the quick out. Gains a few through the air. That's his third catch.
A risky throw, but it did pay off. Cannon making the catch, getting a couple of yards upfield, and the Racers still rolling on this drive. A big second down here.
Cannon picks up 5. Last week it was the big plays against UNI that really got Cannon going offensively. It's been a lot of the short dink and dunk plays to Cannon today against the UND secondary.
But again, that's just a confidence booster for Baxter Wright. You know what I mean? He just needs to get some of those completions, and then he'll start airing it out just a little bit more.
Jawan Northington on the ground, pushing the pile past the 25. And he gains 4. It looked like initially he was going to be stacked at the line of scrimmage, but he turns nothing into something to make it third and more manageable.
And just Jawan Northington, so reliable. That's what he does. He lowers his shoulder, keeps the legs churning, gets those extra yards. Now, it's third and short here. Only need about a yard for that first down. And if you get it, again, you're aiming for that end zone. If I'm Jody Wright here, I'm not even thinking about a field goal. I'm thinking end zone, end zone, end zone.
You beat me to it. I was just about to ask if this is two-play territory. Right on the keeper. North Dakota was ready for it. Montre Samuels Parker there to stop him at the line for no gain. And on 4th and 1, looks like the Racers initially were getting ready to send their special teams unit out there, but he's keeping the offense on the field.
And that's what I figured Jody Wright would do. That's what he's thinking. He's like, look, we're 0-10. We're not making the playoffs. We have a shot here to take the lead on one of the top teams in the conference. You know, we're just going to take it. We're going to take this opportunity. That's what they need to do. As you can see, they're in 12P here, 2 tight ends on the left side.
Right. And a timeout taken. That may have just been Coach Wright trying to get him offside in a hard count. First timeout of the half used by either side. Decisions coming for the Racers, threatening here in the second. last timeout. The offense is staying back in the field on 4th and a long 1.
And this is exactly what they need to do. Again, you got to step on the gas. You got to take some risks here. Worst case scenario, you don't get it. The Fighting Hawks are on their own side of the ball on their 25. It's basically like a kickoff. Sure, you don't walk away with 3 points, but even if you kick the field goal, you're still down anyway. May as well go for the first down here.
No team in the MVFC goes for it more on 4th down in Murray State. Their 26th attempt of the year. Right on the ground. Gets enough for the first.
And Baxter Wright again, doing it with his legs, not afraid to get in the mix. And what I really love about him is he's not a guy who's going to slide. He wanted that first down really bad. Let's take a look at this replay. You're going to look at this. Lowers his shoulder, gets in the mix, takes a hit from 3 different players, and as a quarterback, especially a young guy who wants to prove that he can be the future of the program and be the future leader, that's what your coaches want to see, that's what your teammates want to see. Get in the mix.
7th run of Wright's afternoon. On the ground, Northington breaks into the second layer of the UND defense, close to the line, the gain. They mark him about half a yard shy. It's his longest run of the day at 9 yards.
Now, Northington's yards after contact have been fantastic so far today. And a big run there. I think you just keep feeding Northington. Why not? Go with what works. Nobody can tackle Northington right now. He's getting positive yards every time he touches the ball. Now you're within, you're on the 13-yard line. Give it back to the big man and let him go and score a touchdown here.
This Murray State drive started after that Kaminsky interception at midfield. 7th play of the drive. Northington powers forward to gain 4 to set Murray State up in a goal-to-go situation.
And again, I just say you keep feeding him, keep giving him the ball. Northington's an absolute workhorse. He's not a guy who's going to get tired. Let him get in that end zone. Let him put the team on his back and take that lead over the Fighting Hawks.
This has been a precarious spot for Murray State this year. Jim Ogle, with how many big plays he has made at times. He did have the propensity to throw interceptions in this spot. Leads the MVFC in interceptions in the red zone. Can Baxter Wright lead the Racers here? To the air. Right side, Desjardins was congested, not able to pull it down in single coverage.
Yeah, and that was good defense right there, making sure you don't get the flag for pass interference. That was a really nice legal contact there, looking for the ball. A great throw, put it in a spot where only Desjardins could go and get it. It looked like he almost had a hand on it. I think you got to do that again. And what you love to see if you're on that Racer sidelines is you're seeing Wright really start to get more confident, not afraid to throw that ball, especially in that one-on-one coverage. He's trusting his receivers there, trusted Desjardins, and I think they're knocking on the door of a touchdown here.
That was the second time Bennett Walker was in one-on-one coverage against Desjardins. Right on the ground, Northington into the end zone. There are flags down. They went flying before the play was snapped. At the moment, it is being celebrated as a touchdown, but the officials are convening here.
That is the right play call. Again, you saw 2 tight ends on the left side. They both pulled. Northington went right behind both the tight ends, right in between the tackle, and he got into that end zone, used his strength.
Illegal motion. Offense number 12. He was on the line of scrimmage and then went into motion. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's an illegal motion called on Lucas Desjardins.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this. That's why as a receiver, it's so important you check with the official to make sure that you're off the ball. It looked like Desjardins there. It looked like he was on the ball, and that's why they made that call.
You think of Kadarius Toney a couple years ago in the NFL, that game that cost Kansas City against Buffalo out at Arrowhead Stadium. Another flag goes flying before everyone comes set.
But now you talk about Kadarius Toney, you could also argue the 30 dropped passes he had that season may have had something to do with it, but
Single substitution. Offense. 12 players breaking the huddle. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Murray State had been clean up to the last 2 plays. That's 10 yards of penalty yardage with the possession starting in the red zone, or at least that promising start in the red zone.
Yeah, you can't shoot yourself in the foot like that, back to back. That's just not going to work. But again, still not in a bad spot. You're on the 20. You're getting some things to work on offense.
Right. Quick pass. Desjardins is wrapped up. Grant Nolan's third tackle of the half gets him for a loss of half a yard.
Yeah, Cannon just missed his block there. And that is such a tough block. Trying to block in the open field on the edge, you have to really know your receiver, know the guy who's getting the ball, know how he runs. You got to take the right angle. That's a very difficult block to make. That's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of times as a receiver, when you got to block in the open field, that's one of the most important skills to have.
Right. Swings it out. There's Cannon tripped up after a gain of a couple. So North Dakota, after allowing Murray State to get all the way to the 9, comes up big, aided by a couple costly penalties to force a field goal attempt.
Yeah, and that's a big bummer for the Racers. Again, if that touchdown had stood, if Desjardins was off the ball during that motion, this could be a very different game. The Racers thought for a second they might have the lead on the Fighting Hawks, and now they're going to have to settle for maybe just being 1 point back, but still being down, being behind against a team like this, that's obviously not a good position to be in.
Tannehill from 36 yards buries his second field goal of the half. Murray State settles for a field goal after that Jerry Kaminsky interception set up the Racers at midfield. It's a 1 point game here at Roy Stewart Stadium before half.
Big Apple Bar and Grill. Good food, good friends, great time.
What will tomorrow look like? Will it be what you expected, or something you could have never predicted? Will it be frightening or excited? Is it the reason you can't sleep at night, or the reason you get up in the morning? Tomorrow will be all of these things. With Hub, you have a partner today who supports you in writing a more resilient, vibrant, and profitable tomorrow, protecting what matters most to you, and we want you to be ready for it.
We are learning how to save lives while making lifelong friends. We are changing the world from the ground up, and we are receiving a nationally recognized best value for our education. We are unleashing our creativity, and we are making our families proud.
How are we able to do all these things?
Simple, because we are racers.
We are racers!
Is there a racer inside you? Let's find out. Visit murraystate.edu/bearacer.
Back-to-back scoring drives for Murray State. Couple Ryan Tannehill field goals have the Murray State Racers down 1 against the 13th ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks with just over 6 minutes before half here at Roy Stewart Stadium.
Racers doing exactly what they need to do, hang in there. Again, you got to cash in when you're getting that really good field position in opposing territory.
No attempts on kickoff returns for North Dakota today, one of the top kick returning teams in the FCS. You get the sense that this could be a really big complexion-changing drive. Jerry Kaminsky had been perfect up until that interception at midfield. And before half, North Dakota's got an opportunity to double down, knowing they do get the ball to start the third.
Well, again, we talk about that big play ability that Kaminsky has, that BJ Fleming has. So I think, they might try to go deep here.
They go on the ground with a little bit of a end around. That was Christian Hoskins across the formation to gain 1.
See, but now if you're looking at that Murray State defense and you're on the North Dakota sidelines, you're noticing they like to play that one high safety. And so, again, I think if you get B.J. Fleming real out wide and have him run a fade, I mean, that's where things can get dangerous.
Dang up to the line. First carry for Xavier Lee today. The fifth-year transfer from Sacred Heart gets close to the sticks, and he gets just enough to move him to continue the drive.
Yeah, you mentioned dang. He has a pretty interesting stat line. 5 catches on the year, 4 of which for touchdowns. I mean, I don't know about you, but back when I was playing football, I would love to have a stat line like that.
That is a specialty receiver if there ever was one.
80% touchdown rate. I mean, just great stuff there.
6'5", 225. Who wouldn't want that in the red zone? Design run Kaminsky. Marion Pons, who had that interception on the last offensive possession, hauls him down after a gain of 3.
Now, North Dakota, as you can see, doing a great job getting guys in and out, making sure everybody's fresh. I think that's one of the things that they do very well. They have a lot of depth on their team, and so they're able to kind of place guys for certain plays, certain downs, and so they always got a fresh set of legs in there.
Kaminsky. Another handoff. Corey Ty, and receiver across the formation, pursued and dropped. Clayton Ingram was there to make the stop to bring up 3rd and 4.
Ingram did a great job there, not over pursuing. Whenever a receiver is running to the outside, you got to try and make sure you have an angle on him. You don't want to over pursue and have him cut up the middle. Great defensive stop there. Great job from Ingram making that tackle.
North Dakota's 2 for 2 on 3rd down conversions today. Murray State's defense last in the conference in 3rd down percentage. Quick pass is caught near the sticks. The question is, will they give Nate DeMontenac enough for a 1st down? They do.
Yeah, it could have been close. I think they're just saying he caught the ball in front of that 1st down marker. But a good effort there from the Racer defense.
First catch of the day for DeMontenac, the Ontario-born wideouts. There's Lee on the ground, gains 1. First completed pass for Kaminsky to a receiver not named B.J. Fleming.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit more of that. He's done a decent job all season of being able to spread that ball around a little bit. Again, though, you got that #1 weapon in Fleming. It'll be interesting to see how they move forward on this drive.
And North Dakota expends its first time out of the half. Eric Schmidt wants to talk things over. Just under 3 minutes to play in the first half. North Dakota driving here in Murray. minutes to play in this first half at Roy Stewart Stadium. Second drive of the second quarter for North Dakota. They've picked up a couple first downs. Jerry Kaminsky has gotten one of them through the air. He goes back to the air. And a nice pickup to move the chains. That's Christian Hoskins' first catch. He has a carry on the ground on this drive.
Yeah, so far North Dakota hasn't really had too many big plays other than that 32-yard reception to Fleming in the first quarter. You know, right now they're kind of just taking their time. They're pacing themselves, but you do got to start to wonder, when is that big play coming?
Third and a couple. Here's Sawyer Seidel. Gets to the 45. Pons comes up from his secondary position to meet him. And he got just enough to move the sticks.
Yeah, and Pons is feeling himself right now. You can see he's got a lot of energy. He's feeling excited. He's made some big plays, had that interception, couple of big hits, and another one right there.
We've hit the 2-minute timeout at Roy Stewart Stadium. North Dakota's on Murray State's side of the field. Can they capitalize before half? To play in the first half here at Roy Stewart Stadium, North Dakota's got its most promising drive since its first possession early in the first. In Murray State side of the field since that opening touchdown drive, Jerry Kaminsky to the air. Corey Ties, first reception of the game, gains 4.
Yeah, just continuing to go with those short dink and dunk type passes, get down the field, taking their time. And again, they're doing a good job of getting rid of this clock. We're getting to the end of the half here, so I think that's part of the motivation to take your time. Again, you want to end the half with a score and try to give the Racers as little time as possible to respond.
Kaminsky in the pistol with Seidel joining him. Seidel gains a couple, but Clayton Ingram was there to make initial contact to limit the potential of that carry.
Yeah, this is going to be a big down coming up for North Dakota. Again, you know, you're not in field goal range. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to 4th down, if they go for it. But Racers got to be ready to make a big stop here.
UND on 3rd down today. Perfect 4 for 4. Low snap, Kaminsky. Seidel is dropped. He got back to the original line of scrimmage where Jaden Walker made his presence known.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that play here. The Racers so far all night been being a brick wall, doing a great job stopping the run game.
Murray State burns a timeout here, their second of the half. Tyler Downs instructing the clock operator to put a minute 12 back on the clock. For those who are just now joining us, Casey Rowland, Trade Charlton Perrin with you. Big complexion change from when these two teams met a year ago in Grand Forks. The first ever 72-35 game in the history of Division I college football, what one would call a scoregami. There were over 600 combined yards put up by North Dakota's offense in that game. Couldn't have much more of a far cry in terms of complexity in this first half with 13 total points.
Well, not only a complexion change from last year's matchup between the two, but also just a complexion change from a week-to-week basis so far this season. You know, North Dakota probably thought they were going to come in here and go up big in the first half. I think most people were probably expecting that, but the Racers shown up today. They came ready to play, especially that defense.
North Dakota is lining up to go for it on fourth down, their first attempt on fourth today. Fourth in the MVFC and fourth down percentage. Tie across the formation. Kaminsky going for it all. Fleming down the sideline. Blanketed and covered. Brian Poley held his ground, and the Racers force a turnover on downs.
And that was great coverage from Poley, again, making sure he's not picking up that pass interference call. Legal contact, staying on his receiver, comes up big with a stop there. And now the Racers taking over. You still got a minute left. Now all you got to do, get into field goal range. And this is the one time so far this game where the Racers would be happy to settle for a field goal, because that would take the lead heading into the half.
Murray State has not led at any point this season at home against a ranked team. They have an opportunity to take the lead and a half against the 13th ranked Fighting Hawks with their backup quarterback, Baxter Wright, leading the charge. He goes to the air to begin the drive. J.K. Carter out wide. Solid gain of 6.
Again, smart play right there. Get it out to Carter quick, get out of bounds, and keep the drive rolling. You just need about 30 more yards here. Now you're feeling good about a field goal. Your kicker's been making his field goals so far, 2 for 2.
Right. Down the sideline, Carter and tons of coverage. To the boundary, out of play.
Carter going to take some contact. Yep. Carter taking a little bit of contact there, getting up and getting ready to go.
Third down has been 2 different looks today. North Dakota has been nearly unstoppable on third. Murray State on the other end, 2 for 6 against the third-ranked third down defense in the country. Couple late substitutions. On the ground, Northington breaks loose. Jawan Northington to North Dakota's end of the field. Jai Martin saved the touchdown, but Northington moves the sticks.
And now you're seeing that sense of urgency. Here's that 2-minute offense. Northington was only 1 broken tackle away from a huge touchdown there.
Another late substitution for the Fighting Hawks. Logan Eckhart sent back to the sideline. Right, pressure coming. He is dropped. The MVFC leader in sacks. These North Dakota Fighting Hawks get to right for the second time today. That's Emmanuel Olagbaju there for his 3rd sack of the season.
And that was a big stop to get as well. You stop the Racers' momentum, you kill their confidence a little bit right there, and you set them back a few more yards. Now the Racers have a little bit of work to do to chip back away. We're looking at 32 seconds left on the clock, a huge second down. I think you got to get the ball back to Northington, see what he can do. you know, you still got some time here. You know, maybe try and get a couple more quick passes out to Carter, out to Cannon on the sidelines and get some things going again. You just want to try and get as close to that 25-yard line as you can so you're feeling confident about your kicker making a solid 35 to 40-yard field goal.
And another note of importance too, Drayton, that did force Murray State to burn its final time out of the half. In this spot, 32 seconds with a redshirt freshman quarterback making his first start of the season. How much more does this accelerate the game, knowing there aren't any timeouts left in your back pocket?
Well, yeah, I mean, and now you just have to be really smart, you know, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to those quick outs with Cannon, with Carter, try and get out of bounds. But again, you know, Northington's the type of guy, he can, you know, get a few yards, get up, get the ball to the ref. 30 seconds is enough time to be able to maybe get away with 1 or 2 run plays here. You just have to be really smart about it.
Right through the air, underneath. J.K. Carter spins away from a defender, not able to get by Noland. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage to bring up 3rd and 9.
Getting back to the line very quickly. Smart move from the Racers.
Right. Flushed out on the run. Over the top of the Jardins, a flag does fly. Looks like he was impeded on the route. This should move the sticks.
Yeah, Desjardins was getting grabbed all over. He had no space to move. A smart idea from Wright. Just throw it, get it out there, make sure that clock's going to stop either way, and that flag came out.
Defense, number 10. Automatic, first down.
That's pass interference on Bennett Walker.
Yeah, let's take a look at that now. Desjardins just covered all over. Baxter Wright just going to throw it out there. An automatic first down. And now you're really looking at, you get 10 more yards here. You know, you got time for, let's see, 10 seconds left. You have time for maybe 2 more plays, a couple quick outs, get your kicker in a good spot, in a good position. Your choice is either go for the end zone or try and make a couple of good plays here to set up your field goal.
Right, quick out. Quickly to Desjardins to pick up a few yards. And Jody Wright not messing around, sending the field goal unit out there with 7 seconds to play in the half.
Now that's a little interesting right there. I mean, that only took 3 seconds off the clock. I think you could just run that play again, but obviously they have confidence in their kicker. He's 2 for 2 so far today. So right here, I think you're just saying, look, he can make this field goal. He's going to make it, and let's take the lead heading into halftime.
This from 41. Tannehill for the lead. Knocks it through. For the first time this season, the Murray State Racers have the lead against a nationally ranked team.
And look at Jody Wright. He is so excited over there. He's getting hyped up. Taking the lead against North Dakota, about to go into halftime up. Not a situation that the Racers are used to, but now it's all about the second half. Go into halftime, don't get too cocky, and you got to play the same kind of football when you come out.
Murray State did have an early lead against 20th ranked Youngstown State on October 25th, but these fans here at Roy Stewart Stadium have not seen a lead against a top 25 team in the country. They are 3 seconds away from watching the Racers head into the locker rooms with a 2-point lead through 2 quarters. Tannehill has not given Sawyer Seidel or Christian Hawkins an opportunity to return today. You would have to expect that to be the same case before half.
Yeah, North Dakota is really going to have to regroup after halftime. This is not what they expected coming into today. You got to imagine they're probably going to get a little bit chewed out there in the locker room, and they're going to come out with some energy, and that's exactly why the Racers can't get complacent. They have to prepare for a stronger Fighting Hawks team when the second half starts up.
Squib kick on the ground. Was that touched? It was not. It goes into the end zone for a touchback. Murray State's trying to say that that was touched and it went into the back of the end zone. That would be a safety if that was the case. Jody Wright might want them to take a look at this. It looks like he's wanting the officials to have some sort of a discussion.
Now, the officials obviously have a better view than we do up here in the booth, but it did look like to me there could have been some contact, but it looks like they're going to say there wasn't. North Dakota going to kneel this one away and go into the second half.
The score makers in Vegas had this as a 33.5-point spread. Well, cover your eyes if you play the market. The 33.5-point underdogs lead the 13th ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks 9-7 through half. Racers have a 2-point lead on the 13th ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks as we take a look at our Hop Hound Brew Pub upcoming schedule, starting with North Dakota. Speaking of surprises, who would have thought that one, Murray State would have the lead at half, and two, that South Dakota State has dropped 3 games this year?
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected this coming into this game, but Murray State, they showed up to play. They knew they were going to play one of the top teams in the Missouri Valley Conference, and North Dakota just really needs to step it up here in the second half.
Could be a bit of a surprise meeting next week if South Dakota State and North Dakota both come in with either 3 or 5 losses respectively. Murray State's upcoming schedule, their last win in Missouri Valley Conference play came against Indiana State. They make a trip to Terre Haute next weekend into the crossroads of America.
Yeah, and depending on how this game goes, they're probably going to feel really confident heading into Terre Haute next week, especially because North Dakota already played Indiana State. They beat them pretty bad, and so I think now Murray State hanging in close with North Dakota, does that give you some more confidence?
Our upcoming schedules are powered by Hop Hound Brew Pub, Murray's best-kept game day secret. A relaxing dinner or a pregame hangout is what Hop Hound Pub Brew has you covered for, located at 912 South 12th Street here in Murray. Back with halftime stats and more at Roy Stewart Stadium on Murray State's Senior Day. Time stats between the Fighting Hawks and the Racers in a lead up to the start of the second half. Even in total yards, not even the total score between the Racers and the Fighting Hawks.
Yeah, you know, you look at Murray State so far, doing a really nice job taking that lead. Juwan Northington, he's having himself a really nice game. Had that one touchdown get called back because of that, you know, illegal motion. But other than that, he's just been absolutely churning up the yards. He's averaging about 6 yards a carry so far in this game, keeping those legs churning. North Dakota needs to do a better job containing the run on defense.
One thing that's not pictured there, Drayton, time of possession. We talked with Jody Wright in the lead up to kickoff today, wanting to hold clock and to run the clock as well. Murray State has had over 7.5 more minutes of possession today.
Yeah, and that's one thing we haven't seen so far, but to be fair, they haven't needed to, and it kind of seems like North Dakota has been taking that mindset. They've been taking the time on their drives. Again, we haven't seen any real big plays from North Dakota other than in that first drive, that 32-yard reception from B.J. Fleming. After that, they've just been a lot of dink and dunks, a lot of short runs. They haven't really had those explosive plays.
Murray State up 2 here at half. Back in a few moments from Roy Stewart Stadium. Few moments away from The start of the second half, it is senior day here in Murray. Some players were honored before the game, cheerleaders during the game, and members of the Murray State Band being honored here at halftime. Casey Roll with the former racer Drayton Charlton Perrin, who had a senior day of his own. Pretty special senior day here, piecing out at Roy Stewart Stadium as we take a look at some of those first half highlights to the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, here's that big play we were talking about to B.J. Fleming, 32-yard reception. Of course, that was followed up, a nice icing on the cake on this next play here, that big touchdown. Haven't scored since, haven't really even been in position to score since for North Dakota. Out here, that's Cannon. He's going to make a couple of moves, but he's going to get stopped right there. Cannon's had quite a few touches so far in this game, and there's Desjardins. That was a big first down. Desjardins, he's been getting active so far as well. And another great catch from Cannon, another first down. That was one of their better drives of the game. And then here, that's that lofty pass. Jordan Washington putting up one hand, making the grab. And then a big sack. That was after Northington's run got called back for illegal motion, and that ended up being in a field goal on that drive. That's one they're going to wish they wanted back. And there, Cannon once again getting the ball. He's been a workhorse today so far. And there's that North Dakota defense really showing up. I think for them, it's been more of an offensive struggle so far this game. And then here, that's Baxter Wright using the legs, getting a nice first down there. Baxter Wright been using his legs all night. And Jawan Northington, yards after the carry. That's what he does. And this was the touchdown that got called back, unfortunately, for the Racers. However, 9-6, Racers taking the lead. And that was a big stop there, Pons.
You do have to wonder, too, Drayton, what the complexion of the game may be if that touchdown wasn't overruled. Murray State still has the lead entering half, but you have to wonder what confidence that may have given them at that point if they were to score 6 instead of 3.
I mean, yeah, that would have been a 7-point swing. You're assuming they get the PAT, and then if they still got that other field goal, you're looking at a 16-7 game, versus 9-7. I mean, that's just such a big deal. I just think the difference between a touchdown and a field goal, especially when you've had multiple chances inside the 20-yard line, that's the problem. Murray has had multiple chances. They've shot themselves in the foot with penalties. They've, had some sacks. They can't find a way to finish, and that's the biggest thing that Jody Wright's probably telling his guys right now. Finish, finish, finish.
Can the Racers finish off what could be a senior day win? Halftime still in progress. Second half kick comes up in a few moments at Roy Stewart Stadium. Roy Stewart Stadium, the Murray State Racers have the lead in a Missouri Valley Conference game, and it's against the 13th ranked North Dakota Fighting Hawks. Did you know the last time Murray State defeated a nationally ranked team was over 4 years ago, March of 2021, during that COVID season against 16th ranked Southeastern Missouri. They have not defeated a ranked MVFC opponent since the Racers made the move to the Missouri Valley Football Conference 3 years ago. It is North Dakota football to start the second half.
And what a day it would be to finally get that win here.
First kick return of the day for North Dakota. Corey Ty makes a man miss outside the 35 and zigzags out shy of the 40. That's where Jerry Kaminsky and the Fighting Hawks will begin their first drive of the second half.
Yeah, and this is going to be a super important drive. You got to set the tone now here. If you're North Dakota, you're down. You're in a position you didn't expect to be in from the start of the game. This is where you have to turn it on. I'm sure they were all getting reamed into at halftime, and now I think you got to take the deep shots. You got to take the risks. You got to do what's been working in the past. Again, they hung in there with North Dakota State last week, and I think this week right now you got to prove why you're one of the top teams in the conference.
Jerry Kaminsky's been one of the top running quarterbacks in the MVFC this year. Strong carry to begin the half, gains 15, his longest run today.
Yeah, and now he's using those legs, and that's something he did a couple of times in the start of that first quarter, and then he just hasn't really gone back to it. But right there you're seeing, I think he's going to maybe start taking some more chances with his legs because, as we know, he can do that.
North Dakota head coach Eric Schmidt says that Kaminsky is at his best when he's able to set up his pass game after he establishes the run game. On the ground, Nate DeMontenac makes the catch. There is a flag that goes flying near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that at a perfect time. He ran the ball, made a nice play, and then right after that sets up a hitch.
An eligible man downfield was called against North Dakota's Seth Anderson, the North Dakota State transfer, that right tackle.
Now, the time of possession is really interesting here. North Dakota has about 7 minutes less time than Murray time of possession, which is very different, a very contrast to last week. They had about 10 minutes more time of possession to North Dakota State, and they ended up losing that game. And so I think, you know, for North Dakota, how can you kind of keep control of that ball, keep control of your offense here? Really got to get going now.
Kaminsky into the flat. There's Sawyer Seidel, his first catch of the game. He's been busy in the run game today with 9 carries, but he gains a lot of that lost yardage back. Picks up 12.
Yeah, Sawyer Seidel finally getting to show off his speed there around the edge. And that's what they need to do. They got to find creative ways to get Seidel the ball. So far this game, it's really been mostly up the middle runs, but his biggest asset is his speed. So let's get him to the outside. I think that's what they're thinking here.
Kaminsky looking for a deep shot, unloads downfield. Fleming was in double coverage with both Marion Pons and Brian Pulley in pursuit.
Yeah, and you could see they really wanted that. That's the kind of play they got to go for. Take your deep shots. You know, I think Fleming maybe could have tried to dive, make a play on the ball. He decided to make a safety decision there. But again, that's the right idea if you're the Fighting Hawks. Those are the kind of plays you got to go for.
North Dakota 4 for 5 on third downs in that first half. Kaminsky gets Hemphill out of his shoes and spins down for a first down. Jerry Kaminsky showing off the footwork to keep the drive alive.
Yeah, nice spin move. Hit him with the hesitation into the spin move. It's almost like when you're out there playing on your Xbox, you're pressing X, you're pressing Y, B, A, and that's exactly what he did on that play. Gets the first down.
He spammed the spin and the juke at the same time. Madden All-Star team. Ty in the flat. His second catch of the game. Sets up second and manageable at the 25. He picks up 7.
And you can already see the energy changing for North Dakota. They're starting to speed things up. They're not taking as much time. They're going for the deep shots. They're taking a few more risks. So clearly that was a big focal point in the locker room. They just want to bring that energy up, and you can see it.
91 yards for Kaminsky through the air today. Kaminsky back to the air. Swings it out. There's Fleming in the short game. Wrestled down after a gain of a couple. It is enough to move for a first down, but Fleming is face down after being taken out of bounds.
Yeah, his helmet flung off there at the end of the play, and that's what you don't want to see. Fleming, the top weapon for the Fighting Hawks.
B.J. Fleming, one of those big play receivers that's really blossomed this year in his first season in Grand Forks. Had a chance to talk with Eric Schmidt in the lead up before the game today. He had said the big question with Fleming entering the season was if he can emerge from a specialty position. We'll talk more about that here in a few moments. Early on in the third at Roy Stewart Stadium.
Big Apple Bar and Grill. Good food, good friends, great time.
What will tomorrow look like? Will it be what you expected, or something you could have never predicted? Will it be frightening or exciting? Is it the reason you can't sleep at night, or the reason you get up in the morning? Tomorrow will be all of these things. With Hub, you have a partner today who supports you in writing a more resilient, vibrant, and profitable tomorrow, protecting what matters most to you, and we want you to be ready for it.
We are learning how to save lives while making lifelong friends. We are changing the world from the ground up, and we are receiving a nationally recognized best value for our education. We are unleashing our creativity, and we are making our families proud.
How are we able to do all these things?
Simple, because we are racers.
We are racers!
Is there a racer inside you? Let's find out. Visit murraystate.edu/bearacer.
Promising opening drive to begin this third quarter for Murray State. 3 minutes into the third, threatening just outside the Racers' red zone. It's been mostly through the air. Kaminsky. Sawyer Seidel not able to pull it in. That's the second incompletion of the drive. A play that Seidel most likely would have made.
Yeah, Seidel had a lot of space out there. You know, that's just one you're going to want to have back if you're Seidel. I think he saw the green grass, and I think he was ready to turn upfield before he had possession of the ball. You know, and that happens sometimes. That's why you have to secure the catch before you get upfield, one thing at a time.
Fourth incompletion for Kaminsky today. He's got a passer rating of 140 this afternoon. Kaminsky back to the ground. Makes a man miss. Into the secondary, Dylan Rousey, the nation leader in solo tackles, brought him down just outside the 11.
And it looks like he may have gotten that first down. And yes, they're going to move those chains. That'll be the 12th first down of the game for North Dakota. It's been pretty even in that category with both teams. Murray State also 11 first downs on the game so far.
Kaminsky on the ground. Seidel cuts it out wide. Excellent job by Brooks Esplin in pursuit. Made sure he didn't get the edge. He gains a few.
Yeah, and right here, this is one of the better situations to be in. You're in, scoring range on the 3-yard line, just a couple yards out here, but you also have an opportunity if you get to the 1-yard line for another first down. So you really have a lot of chances at scoring here. I think, we're probably going to see Seidel try and punch this one in right up the middle and see where they go from there.
Kaminsky. Seidel stacked up. Could not get into that second layer of the Murray State defense. And it brings up 3rd and the yard.
Yeah, we'll take a look at this. He just gets stopped right up the middle there. A couple of racers on him. That's some good defense. But I think the Fighting Hawks are going to go right back to Seidel, give him another shot up the middle, take the intel from the last play, and go one more time.
You'd have to expect if they don't get it, they're going for it on short distance situations. Kaminsky through the air over the top of Ty. There was lots of pressure coming in from Hemphill. If he wasn't in Kaminsky's face, that's most likely a touchdown.
Yeah, that was great pressure there. Kaminsky just a little bit too much. I think he was seeing the safety coming down as well. I think he didn't want to underthrow it and throw a suicide pass, and so I think he just put a little bit too much on that. Could have been a touchdown, but again, still in a good spot here.
Going for it on 4th and 1. Dang, a red zone threat into the game. Kaminsky on the ground. Seidel gets the edge into the end zone. Sawyer Seidel answers the call, and the Fighting Hawks are back in front.
And that was a fantastic play call. They've been going up the middle, and now you're going to get Seidel on the outside, showing off the speed. And that's what they should have been doing the whole game. Seidel, again, he's a very fast guy, probably one of the fastest guys on the field. Get him to the edge, and there you see he's just going to walk into the end zone.
His 11th rushing touchdown of the year. 12 plays, 61 yards over 4.5 minutes to begin the 3rd quarter. Kenton Loffman on for the extra point, and he buries it through, his 2nd PAT of the day. Short-lived lead for Murray State to begin half. North Dakota's back in front. Can the Racers respond in their first drive of the 3rd? a 12-play drive over 4.5 minutes. Sawyer Seidel's 11th rushing touchdown of his season. Can the Racers respond in their first drive of this second half?
Yeah, we talked about this before the half. The Racers heading into the halftime up 9, up with 9 points. They have to really not get complacent. You had a great first half, but you have to be able to continue that. I'm sure Jody Wright was preaching that to his guys. And now this opportunity right here, this drive is going to be a big one. Clearly, North Dakota's ready to go. They showed that sense of urgency on the offensive side of the ball, so you really don't want to give them the ball back here. No 3-and-outs. You got to get to the other side of the field and punch into the end zone.
Baxter Wright in his first start of his Murray State career. So far, how has he been flying through his first test of the season?
Well, honestly, he's not really doing so bad so far. I mean, he's been completing a lot of passes, getting some yards. He's showing off a little bit of confidence. He's been able to run as well. I think he's probably exceeding expectations a little bit. I'm not sure what Jody Wright was hoping for him, but he's doing quite well.
They go on the ground to begin their first drive of the third. That's Washington, who's there for a gain of a couple yards.
In fact, speaking of Wright, he's 16 of 19, 77 yards. Now, again, 16 passes for 77 yards. Obviously a lot of that's going to be those checkdowns. But, again, that's accuracy right there. He's not throwing interceptions, and that's something we've seen a lot with Jim Ogle, for example. There's been a lot of interceptions, so he's playing clean football.
There's Juwan Northington upended after a gain of 4 on his senior day. 7th carry for Northington, 45 yards. Jim Ogle, the starter for most of Murray State's season, out for the remainder of the year with an MCL injury that he sustained a couple weeks ago. Baxter Wright show today on 3rd down. Pressure coming across the formation, knocked down. They tried to slip it out to Darius Cannon, and for the first time today, Murray State goes 3-and-outs.
Yeah, and Darius Cannon so far, he's been sort of a short pass workhorse so far. 5 receptions, only 15 yards. And that's just how they're trying to get him the ball. J.K. Carter also with 5 catches, 31 yards. It's clear that, that's the strategy that they're going for. But at some point in time, especially now that you're no longer in the lead, you got to air it out. You got to let Baxter Wright take a deep shot downfield. Wondering when we're going to see that.
Low kick from Tom O'Hara takes a Murray State bounce to the 40. One of the best kickers in the MVFC. Over 17 punts over 50 yards. Just looked like he kicked it off the side of his foot.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously North Dakota is going to love that field position. But at the same time, as far as botched punts go, that's not the worst it could have been. I've seen botched punts go the other way. I've seen botched punts go out of bounds or inside the 50. At least you're getting them on their half of the field. But, yeah, I mean, especially in North Dakota, who's coming off a scoring drive, who's clearly bringing that energy and that sense of urgency into the second half, that is not a mistake you want to be making right now.
Second drive of the half for the Fighting Hawks. Both have been in prime field position. Corey Ty dropped at the line by Bryant Pulley for no gain. That first drive to begin the half started at the 39-yard line. This starts at the 40-yard line. They do call that a loss of a yard. So it's 2nd and 11. Kaminsky back to the ground. Seidel, who scored that last touchdown for North Dakota, pushes the pile shy of midfield to about the 47-yard line to bring up 3rd and 3.
Yeah, Seidel now going to get over about 50 yards here on the game. 13 carries, has that touchdown. Seidel really starting to create some momentum now here in the second half. I think the Fighting Hawks are going to start to rely on him a little bit more. But Kaminsky, again, he can also do it with his legs. He has 45 yards himself. I think he might continue to run the ball a little bit here.
Nodak is 4 of 6 on 3rd. Almost picked. Brian Pulley jumped the route. Murray State goes 3 and out, and it looks like North Dakota answers by going 3 and out of its own.
Brian Poley with an opportunity to have a massive momentum swing interception. Now, you can't entirely blame him. That is a hard pass to pick off. That pass was bulleted in there. He had the opportunity. It looked like he was just kind of diving at it, didn't make it go. But honestly, the Racers, they'll take this 3 and out. You know, end that North Dakota momentum, make sure they don't score on back-to-back drives, and now you have an opportunity to get that lead back.
First time Lucas Silvernail has been called the punt. Darius Cannon signals for a fair catch inside the 15. It's down at the 12, and that's where Murray State's second drive of the half begins here in a few moments at Roy Stewart Stadium.
Best traditions set a standard, a belief fueled by grit, revolutionary smarts, and a clear vision for winning. Because a strong tradition makes fans of us all.
Get 0% financing plus 0 down payment plus 0 payments for 90 days plus a complimentary maintenance plan on F-150. Only at your local Ford dealer.
What you'll find in Murray can't be packaged or placed on a shelf. It's a spirit, a feeling that stays with you long after you leave. It's the charm of a small southern town, where smiles come easy and hearts are wide open. This isn't a place of cookie-cutter shops or average eats. This is where soulful food meets real conversation, where every visit feels a little like coming home. Come embrace Murray, where what matters most can't be bought, only felt.
Since 1994, the Carver family has owned and operated Sirloin Stockade. From the moment our doors opened, Murray extended their hand, and the Sirloin Stockade family grew into a community. Our staff and our customers have become an extension of the Carver family, and Sirloin Stockade wants to thank you for your never-ending support. We will continue our mission to serve you and always be a tasty part of Murray life. Sirloin Stockade, serving your family for 30 years.
Second possession of the second half for Murray State. They're backed up near their own goal line. Excellent punt from Lucas Silvernail, 46 yards. Baxter right, and the Racers going deep for the first time down the middle over the top of Darius Cannon. Blanketed by a double team of Jai Martin and Luke Nolan.
That was a great job by the Racer offensive line. Baxter Wright had a lot of time back there. Just a little bit too ambitious on the throw, a little bit too much mustard on that one, too far in front of Cannon. But that was the right throw. Cannon had a step on the defenders, but just couldn't connect there.
On the ground, Northington spun down after a gain of 7 to bring up 3rd and 3.
A great run from Northington, setting up that 3rd and short here. I think they're going to try and get it back to him. And based on how the Racers have been running their offense, I also wouldn't be surprised if they try to get a screen on the outside. But judging by that bunch formation, I'm thinking maybe this is going to go back to Northington.
Murray State 3 of 8 on 3rd down today against the top 3rd down defense in the conference and 3rd in the country. Wright rolling out. On the run in congestion, it's picked. Intercepted by Johnny Wiltshire, who cuts it back. Wiltshire to the house. North Dakota's in flight. The Hawks have 2 touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah, and he was ready for that one. That's what you call a ball hawk right there. He sees the ball in the air, goes up and makes that catch, and that's a tough catch. That's a tough catch. You got two guys right in front of you, great concentration, showing off the speed, and all credit to Baxter Wright for trying to make that tackle there at the end, especially when you throw an interception. That's the kind of effort you got to give. But now North Dakota with all the momentum, and this is the North Dakota that they were expecting to start the game with.
Look at that formation on the two-point conversion attempt. Flags go flying, most likely some formation penalties there.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen that one so far this season.
False start. Offense. Number 76. 5-yard penalty. Point for try.
If we can get another look at that, that's probably something you don't see again for the next however many years. That was Simon Ramfo, the backup quarterback, who is the holder on place kicks. Former starting quarterback at North Dakota who was lined up parallel to the sideline.
I believe that's what some might call an elaborate set piece, Casey.
I would agree. Extra point attempt is true. And North Dakota has buried on 2 touchdowns in just over 8 minutes of play in this third quarter.
Yeah, North Dakota doing a great job coming out, taking that momentum back. And this is something that, Murray State was expecting. I'm sure Jody Wright was telling them in the locker room, guys, the Fighting Hawks are going to come out hard. They did not want to come in here and be down going into halftime. That's probably what they expected, so you just got to be a little bit more careful with the ball. Now, there is one caveat to this. I think if you're on the Racers right now, I think you like the idea that Baxter Wright is getting more comfortable in the pocket. You're hoping that pick six isn't going to kill his confidence. He needs to keep taking those shots, especially now you're down 2 possessions. So he's going to need that confidence now more than ever if they're going to get back into this game.
Kenton Loffman back out there. Murray State has not had an opportunity on a kick return today. That continues with a touchback into the end zone.
And that will be first down for the Racers.
And Wright going to come back out for the Racers, and he's still having a decent game. 16 of 22 here. Again, cannot let that interception get to his head. You got to just keep moving forward, keep that confidence, and keep trusting your receivers.
First play of that last drive, Wright went down the field for the first time. Does he do so again? They spell Northington on the ground, who's crunched after a gain of a yard. A couple Hawks were there in on pursuit. Zach Lewis from his safety position, first to him.
Northington now into the double digits, his 10th carry of the game. And again, based on his productivity so far in the game, I think you got to keep feeding him. I think by the end of this game, if he's not in the 20 range of carries, I think you're not doing him justice. I think you got to let him put the team on his back a little bit here.
On the ground this time, they called Jordan Washington's number. He was the primary back in Murray State's matchup against North Dakota last season with 8 carries. That's his 4th rush of the afternoon to bring up 3rd and medium.
Yeah, and I like how they switch between the two of them. Jordan Washington's got a little bit more elusivity to him, and obviously Jawan Northington, just an absolute bulldozer up the middle, who also has a little bit of that breakaway speed as well.
Wright eludes 2 defenders, tucks and runs. Wright unable to get to the sticks. Excellent job to get something out of nothing. Lewis saves a first down to bring up 4th and about 1.5 yards.
That's about the 4th or 5th time so far in this game that Baxter Wright has done that little duck move. It kind of seems like this North Dakota defense is going too high on their tackles. I mean, obviously, that's a fundamental move. When you're tackling, you got to get low. What do they always say? They say low man wins. You're coming in too high for the arm tackles, and Baxter Wright just ducking down and being able to get some yards, but they did force that 4th down here.
Didn't play a lot of football, but I did learn that in the trenches in the recess yards outside playing recess football.
I'm sure recess football for you got real hectic.
Recess football was for all the marbles. That's where boys became teens and bigger boys.
I used to come back into science class drenched in sweat. I wasn't letting the other school kids beat me in recess football.
You would end up playing a lot bigger games, though, than I did. That was a delay of game, meanwhile, on the Racers.
Yeah, a lot bigger games, but, you know, the ones you remember the most, when you win the recess championship in 2nd grade, I mean, it's just next level.
I can tell you we never punted at recess football. O'Hara's second punt of the half skitters out of bounds just past midfield. 3 drives for North Dakota's offense. All 3 have been optimal field position. This is their best starting field position of the game.
Now, O'Hara, he was kind of skipping off the field a little bit. It looked like he might be dealing with a little bit of pain in his ankle down there on the sidelines. I don't think he was very happy with that last punt. Again, he's a guy we've seen earlier in the season be able to punt a 70-yard ball, and so far today we just haven't seen that out of him.
Jerry Kaminsky and company back onto the field. There's Sawyer Seidel breaking loose for a gain of 9.
And you can see the difference in Seidel here in the second half. He's really getting downfield. You can see that acceleration, and that's his strong suit. He's got speed, he can accelerate, he can cut on a dime, and it looks like the Fighting Hawks are putting a little bit more trust in him this half.
Kaminsky clears out the backfield. Flips it out wide. Seidel in the pass game. Tight ropes the sideline to move the sticks inside the Murray State 40-yard line.
And now we talked about complexion changes in the first half, but how about the complexion change here in the second half? Right now it feels like it is all North Dakota. They are just absolutely on the ball. They are pressing the issue. You can see the sense of urgency and the energy.
Kaminsky. Seidel back on the ground. Surges ahead into that second level, gains 11. That's his longest carry of the day. Hasn't shown much of that big play potential in the backfield on the ground, but showcasing a little bit of it there.
Yeah, Seidel now at 15 carries here. And they're just continuing to feed him the ball, showing that he's a workhorse.
Kaminsky onto the ground. First time today we get to see the third-string running back, Colton Brunell, the redshirt freshman from Wisconsin. Did not play last year. The all-time state record holder in Wisconsin high school football, 7,400 career rushing yards and 65 touchdowns. That's the third-string running back, by the way.
I mean, that is an incredible stat line. You got to wonder if maybe he was one of those guys that kind of swept under the radar a little bit.
There's Kaminsky. Heavy run drive for the Fighting Hawks. Kaminsky earns the edge. At that point, you hand out your Max Preps little player cards. I mean, there's the Max Preps page, but in this new era of the recruiting era, I'm surprised they don't have Max Preps player cards at this point.
You know, that sounds a lot like Derrick Henry's high school stat line. And if you've ever watched Derrick Henry's high school highlights, that man was a man amongst boys. Pretty crazy.
When I still think of Derrick Henry in those prep and college years, I think of that national championship game in the mid-2010s and then seeing Mark Ingram standing next to Derrick Henry and seeing the size difference.
Yeah, that's an all-time photo.
There's Brunell, second carry into the red zone, first down.
And how about that? Brunell getting in, getting some action, and a couple of positive plays, gets the first down. And that's what his coaches are going to want to see from him when they're getting him the ball.
Inside 2 minutes to play in the third. You get the feeling with how this quarter has gone, if North Dakota is able to punch it into the end zone, that could very well be all she wrote.
Yeah, and we've seen in the past the Racers have struggled in the second half with keeping up. They've always been able to stay quite strong in the first, but it's the second half that matters the most.
Kaminsky kills it. Kobe Roberts was all up in his grill. Former NAIA standout Kobe Roberts at the College of Idaho, playing in his graduate student season with these racers. That's the second pass of this drive. It's been all runs for the most part.
Yeah, well, when you look at their top back, Seidel, I mean, he's averaging just under 5 yards a carry, 4.7, got 70 yards so far, and he's only been getting better as the game's gone on.
Speaking of Seidel, cutting it outside and shoved out of bounds. Spencer Kahn there to push him out. And that brings up third and the yard. Yard and a half.
12-yard line, that brings up third down.
Dang, who has been a red zone threat all year with his size, 6'5", 225, is lined up one-on-one on the near side. Play clock is at 1. Kaminsky going to the sideline. Whistles blow. Did North Dakota get a timeout off? They did not.
Now, it looked like they were just trying to catch the racers offsides a little bit. They were almost successful there. A couple of racers looked like they were about to go offsides, didn't quite get it. And then by the time they were ready to snap the ball, that play clock was just down too low. That's when you have to really have that sense of awareness at that quarterback position for Kaminsky. But still not in a bad spot, but a third and short turned into a third and long here.
Whistles blow. Another flag. This looks to be formation against the Hawks.
Ball start. Offense. Number 2. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Very uncharacteristic day for North Dakota. 7th penalty on them today. Third fewest penalty yards per game in the Missouri Valley Conference entering the matchup. 3rd and 12 with inside 30 seconds to go in the third. Keep it on the ground. Seidel changes directions. Seidel shoved out after a loss of a few.
A loss of a few here, but North Dakota is going to be more than happy taking this field goal. Again, you're already up 2 possessions. You're fine with another 3 points here. And now it's all on the racers. They need to respond. We're starting to get to that point in the game here where if the racers face another 3 and out, as you alluded to a little bit earlier, it might be all she wrote pretty soon.
That's the end of the third. It was all North Dakota. 2 scoring drives, 2 touchdowns. The Fighting Hawks imposing their will here in the second half. Can they get it done in the fourth? Well, they actually do put a second back of the game clock. We just heard from the referee, Tyler Downs. Every second matters. They're going to play out that 1 second here in the third. So we'll get a chance to see Kenton Loffman on for a field goal attempt, his first field goal attempt of the day. So glad you're with us. Casey Roll and Drayton Charlton Perrin with you. DCP looks like you're jamming out to whatever beat's playing. You know what this is? I was actually just wondering what this was.
Well, you know, you were wondering earlier what kind of music people were listening to out in North Dakota. There are some songs that, you weren't sure if they've been hearing about over there, but from what I've heard, I think the people in North Dakota have been listening to some pretty good music. I think their music taste is probably all right.
Loffman on for the field goal attempt, this from 33 yards. And Loffman hits the upright. A doink here at Roy Stewart Stadium, and this remains a 12-point game entering the third. North Dakota has had some issues with field goal attempts. We'll talk about that in a few moments, but entering the fourth, Murray State still got some life.
Your passion through Murray State. Our college is the
Murray State's comeback hopes, down 12 as we start the fourth quarter at Roy Stewart Stadium. Baxter Wright starts this drive on the ground, breaks into the secondary and gains 12. His longest run of the day, moves the sticks on one play.
Yeah, right there now, a little over 20 yards on the ground. It's his 10th rush of the game. Hasn't been afraid to use his legs, but now you can see the Racers loading that wide side of the field here.
Right, quickly over the middle, knocked down. Attempting to go to Carter over the middle on a quick slant. That was the backup linebacker, Michael Devereaux, who got a hand on it.
Yeah, and those quick slants have been working for the Racers all game so far, so I like the play call there, and just good defense by the front of North Dakota there.
The Old Dominion transfer, Michael Devereaux, Conference USA standout for a couple years. Back over the middle, there's a chance for Darius Cannon to showcase his stuff. That's a gain of 13. Cannon's longest catch of the day, moves the chains.
And again, they go right back to that slant. They're not afraid to do it with any of their receivers. We've seen it from Desjardins, we've seen it from Cannon, we've seen it from Carter. Those slants have been working over the middle.
There's Jordan Washington. Quick little hesitation before picking up 3. Can the Racers make something of the missed field goal attempt from Kenton Loffman? No team in the Missouri Valley Football Conference has missed more field goal attempts then North Dakota. Loffman came on and replaced C.J. Elricks, who began the year as the place kicker, missed 3 straight field goals before being expelled. Right, ball's out. It's on the deck, and it looks like the Hawks have recovered. A forced fumble. And North Dakota takes advantage.
Yeah, and you can just see that punch. Baxter was not expecting that. And North Dakota hops on the ball. You could see what the Racers were trying to do. They had Kylan Galbraith in motion. They tried to get him out on that quick out using his momentum and that speed. Baxter just not enough time to get the ball out there.
Man, what a day for Johnny Wiltshire. He forced that fumble. He's got 2 sacks, a pick-6 interception, and now a forced fumble.
Yeah, that is quite the stat line. And again, the majority of that happening here in the second half. North Dakota doing a great job of turning things around. And now in the fourth quarter, it seems like they have all the momentum here. And if they're able to punch this one in, they're in great field position here on the Murray State side of the field. Then, again, I think the Racers are going to find themselves in some big trouble.
On the ground, Colton Brunell, who saw his first carries of this game late in the third, starts the drive and gains a yard.
And this is a great opportunity for Brunell to get some carries, get some experience, get some minutes. And I think that's what they're trying to do. You know, obviously Brunell being a redshirt freshman, he's one of those guys that they're trying to groom to maybe one day take over Seidel's position to be the guy. And this is how you do it. It all starts with minimal experience in games like this.
Seidel back in the backfield, joining Kaminsky. On the ground there, Seidel cutting left, near the line to gain. And about a yard shy to the 34. And Sawyer Seidel has had an interesting career, to say the least. Was a standout at Hill Murray High School. He was adopted from the Congo at 3 years old by his family, who's from Hugo, Minnesota. Both him and his brother, Simon, adopted from the Democratic Republic of Congo, as Seidel gets the first down. And he did mention earlier in the year that this last offseason was a little bit hard on him, because when he went to North Dakota and his brother committed to Minnesota as a defensive back, it was the first time that they had been separated. They were able to go through the adoption clinics in the Congo together, being able to be picked up by the same family, and have been able to grow up together both overseas in Africa and in Minnesota. Trained with him in the offseason, and he actually mentioned, too, with UND Insider, that was a big reason why he's been able to have the breakout year that he's had, being able to train with his brother this year and unlock that second gear that he knew he always had.
Yeah, I mean, and if he keeps playing the way that he's been playing all season, then you got to wonder if he'll have an opportunity to maybe reunite with his brother one day on the same team. You know, again, tonight he's just under 90 yards, and he's been having a fantastic season so far. He's looking like he's knocking on the door of a 1,000-yard season. You know, we'll obviously see there's a couple games left in the regular season.
Kaminsky to the air, deep ball down the sideline. Tough coverage. Is that a catch? Yes, it was. Who else? Dang, a big play threat that Eric Schmidt has been challenging to make some big plays outside the red zone. Well, that'll get him inside the red zone to the 2.
Dang came into this game 5 catches, 4 touchdowns, and these are the kind of plays that he does. He is a one-on-one nightmare, just a big man, and look at that hand just grabbing that ball out the air as if it's a baseball.
He's lined up one-on-one. They go to Brunell, who punches it in. Touchdown, Hawks. First touchdown of Colton Brunell's career.
Yeah, and that touchdown's going to be a big one. A flag just got thrown after the play, but let's take a look at this touchdown. Great blocking by the O-line. He's going to find his way in there. And Brunell now getting on the board for the Fighting Hawks here.
unsportsmanlike conduct foul. Against number 67, his first of the game. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the succeeding kickoff. Point for try.
So it's sportsmanlike on North Dakota. They are going to replay the try here. No, they actually apply it to the kickoff. They are going to take the extra point from regular depth. Loffman knocks in the extra point attempts. 6-play drive over 3 minutes. North Dakota up by 19. Math is hard. Last 10 minutes plus of the fourth come your way next.
Big Apple Bar and Grill. Good food, good friends, great time.
What will tomorrow look like? Will it be what you expected, or something you could have never predicted? Will it be frightening or exciting? Is it the reason you can't sleep at night, or the reason you get up in the morning? Tomorrow will be all of these things. With Hub, you have a partner today who supports you in writing a more resilient, vibrant, and profitable tomorrow, protecting what matters most to you, and we want you to be ready for it.
We are learning how to save lives while making lifelong friends. We are changing the world from the ground up, and we are receiving a nationally recognized best value for our education. We are unleashing our creativity, and we are making our families proud.
How are we able to do all these things?
Simple, because we are racers.
We are racers!
Is there a racer inside you? Let's find out. Visit murraystate.edu/bearacer.
Back at Roy Stewart Stadium, a 15-yard penalty and sportsmanlike conduct was called on North Dakota after that last touchdown. So the kickoff from the 20 will most likely get an opportunity to see a Murray State return. Ball's loose on the deck, and of course there's the announcer's jinx, just jumping on top of a muffed kickoff. It does give Murray State its second best starting field position of the day at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, now a couple of notable scores around the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Southern Illinois at halftime leading South Dakota 24-14. Youngstown State up against Indiana State 38-26 at the start of the fourth quarter there. A couple of good games going on. Southern Illinois having a great year. Obviously their quarterback, former racer DJ Williams, playing incredibly well. And Murray State getting ready to go to Terre Haute, so seeing how they stack up with Youngstown State, a team that they played pretty close with for a while, you know, that's something they're going to want to take a look at when this game wraps up.
On the reverse, Jalen Richmond's first touch of the day gets back to the original line. Yeah, DJ Williams a couple weeks ago, one of your former teammates, had one of the best. We hear the call from Tyler Down, just a substitution, but 2 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. He had a homecoming of his own on Murray State's homecoming day just a couple weeks ago. Baxter Wright on the ground, lowers the shoulder and gets close to that first down marker. You know, in another year where Cole Payton at North Dakota State isn't doing what he's doing, you could make a legit case for DJ Williams being the Walter Payton Award winner this year.
Yeah, in fact, especially after the first 3 weeks of the season, I thought he was pretty much a lock for it, and he really hasn't dropped off at all. He's been playing incredibly well. I think, you know, if he doesn't get it, he should certainly be a finalist or at the very least be in contention. He's been doing it on the ground, through the air. He's just doing great. His team's winning games.
Right across the formation. Nice connection with Cannon. Longest connection between those two today.
And now you're seeing the energy start to pick up a little bit for the Racers. I think now that it's the fourth quarter, you're seeing that need for that sense of urgency. Right, getting a lot of time there in the pocket, throwing on the run, and Cannon making a nice catch, getting to the sideline.
Seven catches for Cannon. Right, down the sideline, going for Carter. Over the shoulder, couldn't haul it in. Most likely would have been out of bounds even if he would have made that catch.
And now we're seeing the deep shots. You know, I think Wright maybe waited a little bit too long to start taking these deep shots. I think we should have seen some more of these in the third quarter, especially once North Dakota took over the lead. But nonetheless, now you're really starting to see him air it out a little bit, feel more confident. The throws are nice. Even though that ball was out of bounds and J.K. Carter wasn't able to reel it in, it was still the right idea and the right throw to make in that situation.
Wright going back to the air. Flushed out, throwing outside, and dropped. Richmond couldn't haul it in to bring up 3rd and 10.
Yeah, it's a rare drop from Richmond. He was doing a little bit of a comeback route there on the outside, couldn't hang on to it. It looked like he let that ball hit his chest and ended up hitting the deck.
Former Boise State Bronco and JUCO product out in Bakersfield.
You know, that's what's interesting, just the entire landscape of college football. We talk about Murray State bringing in 60-plus new guys this year, and you just think at any given time on the field, you know, the majority of these guys have been at other colleges, have been in other places, you know, and it's just very interesting the way college football is going with the introduction of NIL and the transfer portal and everything like that. It's just a much different game than it was, say, 15 years ago.
That was Juwan Northington on the ground, and you talk about that, about the state of the transfer portal and guys filtering in and out. Juwan Northington is one of those rare cases now, a true senior who has played his entire career in one spot.
And he had options. He could have gone in the transfer portal, gone FBS and everything like that, but he wanted to stay and be a Racer.
Wildcat formation. There's Hussein Simsinger making his name known today. First catch of the UK-born tight ends day.
And that was a nice, clever play. You know, little bit of a flea flicker-esque type play. You get Simsinger. He's going to just hide a little bit out near the line. He's going to sneak out to the short side of the field and make a nice catch.
Right. More pressure coming, and he's taken down. The top sack unit in the Missouri Valley Football Conference makes another play. Emmanuel Olagbaju's second sack. Say that name 10 times twice.
And now you think between Wright, you know, all the rushes he's had and double-digit rushes and also some of the sacks that he's taken today, he's been taking a lot of hits. Now, especially when you look at the fact that their starting quarterback is on the sidelines with a knee injury. You know, again, that's something you want to look at longevity-wise. You know, do you want your quarterback to be taking so many hits?
Darius Cannon on the swing pass gets crunched down after a gain of a few yards. That sack for North Dakota, it's 5th of the game. Olagbaju's second of the day.
Yeah, now we're under 7 minutes here in the game. The Racers not in a bad spot positionally here. It is 3rd and long, but they're setting up maybe for a field goal. They've been playing a lot better than, you know, as the guys in Vegas thought they were going to play. Again, they've been beating the spread pretty well today. That being said, you know, they had an opportunity. They were up at halftime, and I just think they got to really work on finishing. The rest of the season, that should be on their whiteboard.
Excellent pass between Wright and Richmond on that right sideline to set up 1st and goal.
Richmond ran a great comeback route there, stopped on a dime, toe tapped the sidelines, and how about Wright with the throw on the run, throws off 1 foot, and that was an incredibly accurate throw. Wright doing a nice job so far here.
Murray State hasn't found the end zone. Baxter Wright changes that. Touchdown, Racers. Right place, right time. Baxter Wright finds 6.
And now at the very least, after this game, even if this ends up in a loss, these are the type of plays that you're going to look at and you're going to be proud of as a Racer and you're going to really want to improve on. You know, I just think improvement over the course of a season. That's what you want to look at if you're Jody Wright. This is his first year with his entirely owned team. And so I think a lot of the big things you can say is, okay, maybe they might not have as many wins as last year, et cetera. Like maybe they don't win this year. But that being said, the team is looking better. The offense has gotten better over the season. Defense has gotten better. And those are the things you got to look at.
Murray State is electing to go for 2 here, down 13 points. Right. Here's Carter. He can throw. J.K. Carter! 2-point conversion is good. There's the trickery that Jody Wright said we could possibly see today. He links up with Simseer to make this an 11-point game.
An incredibly clever play right here. The pitch to Carter. Not a touchdown this time, but a 2-point conversion. We saw Carter do this earlier in the year to throw a touchdown, that one for 2. Carter kind of looking like he's a quarterback himself.
He did play quarterback in high school for a quick second. Racer 1 makes its first track around the field, as is customary at Roy Stewart Stadium for those tuning into a Racers game for the first time. They're off and running here in the 4th. Can the Racers bound to come back with inside 6 minutes to play in regulation? Inside 6 minutes to play in this 4th quarter at Murray State's Roy Stewart Stadium. The Racers have recovered an onside kick this year. It came against Illinois State on October 11th. Most likely here an onside kick attempts, with the final few moments dwindling down here in Kentucky.
You can tell both by the stances and the way the kicker's positioned.
High bounce, and Dang is there to make sure nothing further happens. First down, North Dakota, past midfield.
Nice recovery from Dang, getting on the ball. Now, he could have let it go out of bounds. That's where the ball was heading, but he just said, you know what? we're on the Murray side of the ball. Let's just pick it up and get our offense out there.
Please reset the game clock to 5 minutes and 53 seconds. Number 9 for Murray State is now number 49.
Just heard some logistical changes. Dylan Rousey has changed his jersey number to number 49. So could possibly expect the Fighting Hawks to just run out the clock with inside 6 to play. Kaminsky, there's Sawyer Seidel. He's had a really busy day on the ground. 21 carries for 88 yards.
And one thing I've noticed about Seidel is he does the Ashton Genty stance in the backfield. He's just standing straight up like a menace, ready to get that football, and he's been having a great game. Maybe there's something to that. You know, way back in the day, I used to play running back, and I used to think I needed to bend my knees real tight and, you know, make sure I'm ready to go. But maybe there's something to just standing up. I don't know if it's a confidence thing or whatever it is, but running backs who do that tend to play really well.
There's Seidel. Surging ahead, close to the line to gain, 3rd and 1. Well, what's the saying? Flattery is the, well, not, I'm blanking on what it's called. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
Yes, that's the one.
That's what it is.
See, because now I've seen a lot of running backs start doing that. You know what, though? There might be something to it, because every running back that I've seen do that, standing straight up like a menace in the backfield. They've all had fantastic games, and you're looking at a guy like Seidel. He's looking at knocking on the door of 100 yards.
Kaminsky on the keeper, falls forward for a gain of 2 to move the chains. Well, it's like those. I feel like this should be a trend. I know this is a 2025 digital world of TikTok trends and digital trends. There's all the TikTok dances and so forth. There are a lot of those sexy Dexy celebrations, the Dexter Lawrence celebrations. I wonder if those in the know would just recognize, you know, I'm not going to do any real shtick or anything, just stand straight up. And I think if you're in the know, you'd know.
100%.
Call it the Genty Jam or something of that nature.
I like that, the Genty Jam.
The Genty Jam. There's Colton Brunel. Had a touchdown his last time touching the rock. He totes it forward for a gain of 8.
Yeah, Brunel now just under 20 yards. Getting some nice minutes, getting some carries for him. That was the 6th carry of the game.
It looks like North Dakota's bringing in a couple players who haven't touched the field today. Sam Strandl, lined up one-on-one on the near side, is on the field for the first time. Kaminsky on the keeper, breaks loose. Jerry Kaminsky to the house.
Yeah, and there was no one touching Kaminsky. Now, what I love about that play right there, that was 13 personnel, 2 tight ends on the line, 1 in the wing, and Kaminsky just going to follow his blockers. Nobody touches him, gets into the end zone, does it on the ground, and North Dakota increasing their lead.
He's got rushing touchdowns in 4 of his last 5 games. 28 total touchdowns for Jerry Kaminsky this year between the air and the ground. Kenton Loffman has not missed a PAT today, did miss a field goal attempt. He stays true.
And now the game is back to a 3-possession game.
Just over 3 to play. Final few moments here at Roy Stewart Stadium. player of the game here at Roy Stewart Stadium is powered by Patty's. Patty's 1880s settlement of Grand Rivers, Kentucky, where friends bring friends to explore and dine. Visit their website at pattys1880s.com or call to make reservations. They'll see you there. Johnny Wiltshire is today's player of the game. Man, what a game he's had on the defensive end. You and I were just talking, Drayton, about showing some love to defensive players. Had a forced fumble, a pick six, and a couple sacks. Johnny Wiltshire.
And I don't think people realize just how incredible of a stat line that is. I mean, anytime you can get a pick six, I mean, that's already fantastic. But, then to add that forced fumble on top of that, to add multiple sacks on top of that, you're talking about a guy who's showing that, he's great in the pass game, in that pick six. He's got the speed. He showed off the intangibles. Not to mention he's also been pressuring the QB as well. That's a guy who's shown today that he can do it all, so he absolutely deserved to be player of the game. It was a unanimous vote up here in the booth.
That was a block below the knees, 15 yards on Murray State, so that backs him up. Johnny Wiltshire had a career day against Murray State last year. 3 tackles for loss. I think today will probably top what he did last year in Grand Forks against the Racers.
Oh, absolutely it will. Now, I will say another guy who might need some love. I'll give Sawyer Seidel some love, too. 22 carries, 96 yards, and a score. He's been great all game, especially in the second half. So a couple of these guys for North Dakota doing a great job today.
Baxter Wright goes to the ground, his 15th carry. Talk about being bell cows today. Wright grounding and pounding on the turf. Right to the air, J.K. Carter, his final home game of his career, makes the grab, gets closer to that line to gain. Third and a couple coming up.
Yeah, and Carter, he had himself a great season. He really did it all for the Racers this year, and not a bad game to end on at home with 6 receptions. And, really, he's a guy that the Racers are going to miss next year for sure.
Jordan Washington, barring, of course, this era of the transfer portal, should be back in Murray for what would be his redshirt sophomore year.
Well, and I would say, with Northington, with having this be his last year as well, I think Washington might be more inclined to stay, knowing that the opportunity to be the workhorse, to be the guy is there. And that's something as a player you got to consider.
We've hit the 2-minute timeout. Final 120 seconds of play coming in just a few moments. Stewart Stadium to cap off the season here in Murray. Baxter right, swings it out far side. Jordan Washington is cut down. Loss of a few yards. So Murray State looking like they'll be heading into Terre Haute next week, 0-11, attempting to avoid a winless season. It is senior day. It is another year almost completed. Where does the program go, in your opinion, from here with what Jody Wright's trying to accomplish in Murray?
Well, this was obviously a transitional year. This was Jody Wright's first true team of his own. That's why he brought in 60-plus guys. You know, and they got guys on the bench, you know, at the quarterback position. You think of a guy like Blaze Berry, who was a 3-star recruit coming out, and, you know, he's still sitting at that quarterback position. So I think really it's going to be a big spring. You're going to find out who your quarterback is. Is it going to be Ogle? Is it going to be Berry? Is it going to be Baxter? You know, you got options there. At running back, is it going to be Jordan Washington? Are you going to get more transfers coming in, right? Probably. You know, who's going to transfer out? There's so many variables, especially with the way the transfer portal works now. Also, you're looking at a lot of guys are probably going to get cut. You know, that's also the unfortunate reality of Division I football nowadays, is even at the FCS level, you know, a lot of guys are going to get asked, you know, not to come back, or going to get their scholarships cut and everything like that. So, you know, the team could look a lot different than it even does now. You know, the guys who've been playing well, the guys who've been making a difference on the team, they'll stay and they'll have an opportunity to prove what they got next year. But, you know, this team could look a lot different. A lot of the starters that you're seeing on this field that have another year, they might not be starters next year. That's just the reality of where we're at in college football.
Jody Wright does burn a timeout with just under a minute and a half to play. On the other end of the coin, North Dakota, the record may be a little bit deceiving. Drayden, you and I were talking a few moments before kickoff today. 6-4 entering, but considering 3 of those 4 losses have come against either 2 national contenders in North Dakota State and Montana and another FBS power in Kansas State to begin the year. A little bit of maybe deception from the outside looking in terms of the strength of what this team can really look like if they're clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, exactly. I think this just wasn't a great performance from North Dakota. I mean, they definitely had a much better second half. I just think that first half was not true Fighting Hawk football. So I think this is a game that, yeah, they're going to be happy they got the win, but they're going to want to put this one behind them. That being said, for the Racers going into Terre Haute next week against a team that, you know, they really have a chance of beating, I think this could be a confidence booster knowing that they can hang in there with a team that's hung in there with North Dakota State and Kansas State and teams like that, right? So I think it works on both ends. North Dakota's going to want to forget about this even though they won, and Murray State's going to want to remember this even though they lost.
It's a turnover on downs. Lucas Desjardins was the intended receiver there, so we'll most likely see North Dakota take a couple snaps before getting ready to head back to business to close out the regular season against South Dakota State next weekend.
Yeah, and that's going to be a really tough battle, and I think that's all the more reason why the Fighting Hawks are going to kind of want to put this performance behind them. They know this wasn't their best performance, and they have to prepare for, you know, arguably the best team in FCS football, right? You know, they've already played tight with North Dakota State last week, and that's another team that, you know, is probably going to make a big run in the playoffs again. And now you got South Dakota State, who's won a couple of championships in the last few years, right? So I just think they need to kind of refocus, regroup, and have a really good week of practice so they can head into that game against South Dakota State and be ready to go.
One more snap should just about do it. The Fighting Hawks are in victory formation. Outstanding day for UND. Sawyer Seidel was 4 yards shy of what would have been his 4th 100-yard rushing game in his last 6 weeks. But North Dakota will take a victory, 3-0 in the all-time series against Murray State. Bit of a different complexion from last year's matchup in Grand Forks with over 100 combined points, but the Fighting Hawks will take a victory to move to 7-4. Murray State falls to 0-11 with the defeat.
Yeah, and I just think cleaning up penalties for both teams. North Dakota 7 penalties for 57 yards. Murray State 4 for 30. You know, we talk about North Dakota heading to South Dakota State. You can't shoot yourself in the foot with those penalties. Murray State, they've had games where they've had way more than 4, so this might even be a good game for them. But again, it's all about limiting penalties at the end of the day.
That'll wrap things up here at Roy Stewart Stadium. North Dakota takes flight and takes another victory here in the Bluegrass State. For Drayton, Charlton, Perrin, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Casey Roll saying so long from Roy Stewart Stadium. All games streamed and broadcast on the ESPN family of networks or streamed and archived on the ESPN app. This has been the presentation of the Missouri Valley Football Conference on ESPN.